Right, it's all you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Hi.
Hi.
So I'm going to be talking about how memory affects your version of the truth. Thank you. So my real life example is a court case, and it's the case of Kirk Bloodsworth. And so he was convicted in 1984, but he was later exonerated in 1993. And he was twice sentenced to death for the rape and murder of a 9-year-old girl. And so he was convicted due to the 5 witnesses that placed him with the victim or near the crime scene, but he was later exonerated by DNA, so obviously these witness testimonies were not totally accurate. So this leads to my knowledge question, which is, how does memory affect our conception of the truth? So some definitions to start with. Memory is the power or process of reproducing or recalling what has been learned and retained. Conception is a complex product of abstract or reflective thinking, and truth is the property as of a statement of being in accord with fact or reality. So my 2 main arguments are that memory enhances our understanding of what we know, and memory limits our understanding of what we know. So if eyewitness testimony is so faulty, then why do we rely on it? If anyone has some ideas.
I think it's a natural, instinct for us to trust the person who was there. And if someone says they were there and that they saw it, even if they didn't see it clearly or weren't really paying attention to what was happening, they certainly were more there than someone who wasn't physically there at all.
I think it's also part of that is practicality. We didn't always have closed circuit television to record everything everywhere, so it wasn't necessarily helpful to use, for example, if we had old technology of black and white footage, that wasn't necessarily useful. So then, in that case, using a witness testimony, you saw a person do something, so you're more likely to take their word for it than someone who. Thank you. Basically, the technology wasn't there, so.
Also,
yeah.
Saying things like eyewitness testimony is faulty with someone else's, but when you say all eyewitness testimony is faulty, we should use a court cases, that includes yourself, and it's hard for everyone to listen to accept that their own memory is bad. So the difference of someone else versus that personal, my memory isn't good enough.
So some things that I found about this are that lawyers can use human emotions from eyewitness testimonies to sway the jury in their direction. So if they have someone very emotional on the stand, then it can sway the jury. And a lot of the time, eyewitness testimonies are true and they can be helpful to solve cases. And now that technology has advanced so much, they're able to back up the data in addition to the testimony, so it's not as reliant on someone's memory. So the argument that memory enhances our understanding of what we know. Memory gives us a background knowledge, so we use memory for basically every single thing that we do. So can you guys think of something that you don't use your memory for?
Breathing?
Well, isn't that muscle memory?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's all memory. Yeah.
Cognitive memory.
So basically, memory allows us to better understand situations and events due to our ability to relate them to something else. So when you go through experiences, you're able to relate them to something that's happened before. So you're better able to handle situations and go through things. And with the argument that memory limits our understanding of what we know, memory is very faulty, and it often causes us to believe skewed versions of what happened. And the biggest problem with memory is that it's very easily influenced by other factors. So I'm sure all of you guys have some very, very old childhood memories, but a lot of the memories that we have from our childhood we don't really remember. So for me personally, my mom has told me the same story multiple times from when I was a child, and I now believe I know that memory even though I don't really remember what happened. So she has basically given me the memory that I have, showing how it's memory isn't always totally true because I only know what my mother has told me. So some discussion questions. Can you guys go with that table? Would that work? And then can you guys answer question 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then just talk in your tables for a bit?
Don't look at it. Click it. You can point to something.
Cool. Okay.
It's like the majority of people will use Yes, that's the same thing. That question is right. How one might think that what that person is bad.
Hi. Really cute. Okay, so regrouping. You guys answered question 1. So how can we rely on memory and sense perception if they fail so often?
Because, like, as you mentioned, memory is the basis of, like, how we learn new knowledge as well. Like, in order to read a book, to learn, like, remember what words mean, the alphabet, like, it's the basis of how we gain new information. If our memory is wrong, then how do we know that anything is right?
Yeah. So you guys in the back, what qualifies something as true? So relating back to the real life example, so if all 5 witnesses believe that they did see Mr. Bloodsworth like near the victim, not near the victim, near the crime scene and with the victim, then does that make it true?
So we said something qualifies as true if you have concrete evidence to back it up. So it doesn't matter necessarily what those witnesses think that they saw. Like, there needs to be concrete evidence, like a video or some sort of
Aren't the witnesses themselves the evidence?
aren't what?
Aren't the witnesses the evidence?
Yeah, and their memories aren't always reliable.
But when you think about it, so like let's say you like did your math homework and then you left it at home and you went to school and you told your teacher that you did your math homework, which is true because you did it, but there isn't any concrete evidence to back it up because you don't have it with you, then is it still true? Even if she thinks it's not true and you know that it's true?
Isn't that an element of trust, though?
Yeah. Trust and truth. Because, yeah.
I mean, so it's significant, though. I mean, like, so, but that's born out of my 20 years of teaching, and typically, you know, I'm going to look at you, and if you told me you forgot something, I would trust you. If it's somebody else like student Y who consistently forgets things, I would say, I'm sorry, I just don't believe you, right? And so then that's born out of experiences, right? Shaping kind of time within that one direct relationship that I have with you, but it's also born out of the 1,900 kids that I've taught in the past, right? So that, what does that have to do with the concept of truth as opposed to trust?
Well, I was thinking like she's saying if there's no concrete evidence, then it's not true. But then sometimes there are cases where there is no concrete evidence, like you don't know if they did their homework, but also does that make it not true because you don't have evidence
But
that
then
they
that
did
brings
their
us
homework?
back to Vedas's point, right? In a modern age, now maybe your parents left the house before you did and you can't do this, but they're like, okay, great, send me a picture of it by 5 o'clock today. Well, I have volleyball, then send it to me by 8. And if it doesn't come at 8, then, I mean, I give you a little bit of leeway there, but that's not a memory, right? Like my memory is that you consistently handed your work in over time. So that's going to affect the truth that I've created in my mind for you. The tangible evidence that Haley speaks of, correspondence theory, is kind of aligned with the idea of technology and that we can give proof, right? It's a picture of said homework.
Okay, wait, I have something.
Yes.
So this weekend, my mom got really mad at me because, so she has this app called Life 360. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's a tracking app. And so one time I got really mad at her and I turned it off. Like, you know, like, screw you, Mom, you can't find me. But she said, if that ever happens again, I'm taking away your phone and everything that you love. So I never did it again. But for some reason, she couldn't see it, my location. So she called me wherever I was, and she got really mad, even though my location was on, and I knew that it was on, and I even took a screenshot and showed her. But she still didn't believe me that it was on, because in the past, I turned it off. Like, yes, I know that was my fault, but then I didn't turn it off. And she wouldn't believe me, even though I took a screenshot screenshot of it being on, she thought that I had flipped it.
So let her, so what does that have to do with memory and truth?
So I was thinking that your mom's memory of you turning it off in the past is what affects her belief that this is true, that you did turn it off, even though it's not necessarily true to you. Yeah, that's it. Do you guys want to go for number 3?
We said that truths, I forget the specific theory, but going along with that theory, that truths exist outside of our interpretations, and therefore it's only our interpretation of the truth that is effective, I guess.
And then lastly, you guys, how can different truths
So
exist?
there's different truths, like for example, in English class when we do a paper of one and there's a text, then when we can analyze it like in different ways, because people can think in in different perspectives. So, but there's no right or wrong answer. So they are all true.
And so some perspectives, the first perspective that kind of goes back to the real life example is racial. So let's say that Mr. Bloodsworth is one race and the witness testimonies were all a different race, and it may cause them to change their version of their truth as a result in order to try to, let's say, like help the victim. And then the other perspective is gender. So if Mr. Bloodsworth is a man, and let's say that the witness testimonies were all women and the victim is a 9-year-old girl, they may feel more sympathy towards the victim, which may cause them to unconsciously change their versions of the truth in order to feel as they are helping the victim. And so outcomes. So one outcome of this is with the area of knowledge of history. So with the event of 9/11, you guys all know what that is. So according to an article, many memories from that day are slightly flawed, which kind of changes some detail about that day. So it's the memory of the people that went through that day that have been like recorded, and that's what we read about the day, are not necessarily all true because their memories are very faulty from all the stress that was going on. So when future generations learn about this, then they're going to have inaccurate information because the memories that they are reading about are not necessarily correctly recorded, which changes the truth of the present day because we don't know exactly what happened in that day unless we were actually there. And so overall, memory's effect on truth is crucial in all areas of knowledge, and the faultiness of memories can change our perception of truths. And we must be conscious of the unreliability of our memories when analyzing facts and to take into account how memory could have affected it. Thank you.